Sup, Sheridan? I'm Matt Goffin.
And I'm Chelsea Osu. Coming up on today's show, an interview with the creator of the Trump Regrets Twitter handle.
We also have Bella Priscala live on location at the Joshua Creeks Heritage Arts Center. And Kevin Sackdallen helps you get to know our men's Bruins basketball team.
But first, the entire country is in a shock after a deadly shooting in a Quebec mosque. Today, the members of the Centre Culturel Islamique de Quebec involved in Sunday's shooting released a video on Facebook which shows the aftermath of the incident. A warning, this video is graphic and some viewers might find it disturbing. The video shows blood on the walls and the carpet. The vice president of the mosque says he wanted people to be able to see what worshippers had to suffer. The mosque reopened for the first time today since 6 people were shot and killed during a prayer service.
Many have felt the effect of that terrible tragedy. Taylor Charette talked to our community about how we can come together and be inclusive in light of these recent events.
Like the rest of the world, Sheridan students have been feeling the effects of what has been a devastating week for the Muslim community. Many students feeling that efforts should be made to improve inclusion.
I think how we can make our societies more inclusive is like having more like multi-faith events. So maybe like having more interactions with other religions.
I'm more familiar with having conversations between people who think differently. Sometimes, whether it's politics or religion, we are hesitant to get into those conversations because it's like that fear of getting into an argument or offending someone. And I think moving beyond that fear and starting to engage in those conversations will go a long way.
Of course, these events don't just affect the Sheridan community. I sat down with Montreal-based blogger and journalist Faria Nakvi Mohammed to discuss.
It's been a challenging week. There's been a lot of emotions. We've been grieving with the rest of the country, but also grieving as a Muslim Canadian. And but some of the grief that I've experienced has, if there's a silver lining in this terrible tragedy, it's that I've seen the country come together, and I've seen a tremendous outpouring of support, and that is really that's really moved me, and it really meant a lot to me and to my community.
Like, have you ever experienced like anti-Muslim sentiments before this, or like has that ever been something that you've felt in your life?
Back in 2013 with the Charter of Values, there was an upheaval of racial discrimination, and it became a lot more overt. And at that time, I did unfortunately experience some terrible instances of discrimination that were really, really difficult to deal with. And as a blogger and journalist, I wrote about them. And there was an instance in which I was called an effing terrorist in the middle of a crowded theater on a Sunday afternoon with my daughter and 10 of her friends. And I had never before experienced something like that in my life.
Do you feel like this government has done enough or is doing enough? Or
within the few first hours after this tragedy, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau made a statement very, very soon. This was in the early hours of Monday morning. And he made a statement saying that this is an act of terrorism against the Muslim community. And that's something that was very profound for him to say. And it was something that was very comforting for the Muslim community to hear that level of support and to see it called for what it was. And Premier Philippe Couillard has done the exact same thing. And that is something that I think the discourse that's used at this time, when you have an entire segment of the population that's grieving, and just the broader Canadian public that's grieving right now, I think it's really important. Our narrative is very important, and the words that we choose are very important.
My last question is, how do you think, as Canadians, we should be moving forward to create a more inclusive community for everyone?
That's a really good question. I mean, right now, I was reflecting on this quite a bit today. Like I said, there's been a tremendous outpouring of support, and it's been very, very touching, and it's been very, there's a lot of love that's shared, and I do believe that love trumps hate. However, I know that news cycles change, and right now this is the issue at hand. There was a terrible terrorist attack against the Muslim community, and so there's a lot of support, there's a lot of dialogue, there's a lot of building bridges. However, I'd like to see that change continue. I'd like to see a month from now, a year from now, 5 years from now. I'd like to see concrete change happen where leaders are held responsible for their discourse, for the words that they say. We've seen a lot of the rhetoric happen south of the border. And um, I'd like to see concrete change be sustainable.
Sheridan College is also making an effort to improve inclusiveness by creating the Center for Equity and Inclusion. To get in touch with them, check out the information below. For Supsheridan, I'm Taylor Charette.
Speaking of inclusive, a Canadian student from Halifax got more than she bargained for when she reached out to regretful Trump voters. Erica Baguma now has 15,000 followers sharing their electoral remorse. Joining us via Skype from Halifax is Erica Baguma, the creator of Trump Regrets. Thank you for doing this. So a lot has happened since you created this account. The Muslim ban, does this seem more relevant than when you first created the account?
Yeah, I guess you could say so. It seems to be getting more and more relevant almost every day. It's the people regretting their votes are certainly like it's always increasing. Yeah.
And as a Canadian tweeting about American politics, what prompted you to create the Twitter account?
It was mostly just for fun. I was just curious about any, I never really met any Trump supporters, so I was kind of curious what they were, voting for him for. And then I realized that just this account was like a really good way to learn about like the reasons people voted for him. They were already regretting them.
And what did you hope to tell people with this account?
I didn't really have any sort of agenda. I mean, I really was starting it mostly just for myself, just out of curiosity. I wasn't really trying to make a point.
Now that there has been a lot more people following you, and it's taken a more serious toll, what do you think of the account now?
I mean, I guess I take it more seriously. I mean, you get a lot of feedback from people talking, asking me to reach out and, use my platform to help people. And so, yeah, I mean, I put a lot more thought into it, although I still am trying to sort of distance myself from the politics of it, just because I don't really feel it's really my place as a Canadian to judge. I find if you a lot of the Trump supporters sort of feel defensive if they feel like it's coming from, an anti-Trump place, and it's really not that. I mean, I'm not a Trump supporter whatsoever, but I'm not really trying to make a statement. I think that's definitely a lot of people in my comments. A lot of people follow me for that reason, but I'm not really. It's not a platform for me, really. All it is, it's a platform for people who regret voting for Trump.
Lastly, what would you say to those that regret voting for Trump?
Well, I would like to say thank you for, admitting it, coming out, and, hopefully reach out to some Democrats or something that can help you maybe see what you can do to make up for your mistake.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Problem. Thanks for having me.
Time now for a short break.
But don't go anywhere, because when we come back, Tyler Hopkinson has the news you need to know.
Sup Sheridan, I'm Tyler Hopkinson, and here are some of the biggest news stories that have developed over the course of the day. The Trudeau government is abandoning its promise of electoral reform. In a letter to the Minister of Democratic Institutions, the Prime Minister says consultations across the country made it clear changing the electoral system is not a priority for Canadians. Sharkwater filmmaker Rob Stewart is missing. The Toronto-based director of the award-winning documentary Sharkwater was filming a follow-up to it when he disappeared after a routine dive in the Florida Keys. The United States Coast Guard are currently searching for his whereabouts with a helicopter, dive team, and a boat. Toronto police announced today a big bust of a break-and-enter ring.
Since the fall of 2016, police officers from across the city have been engaged in an investigation into a group of individuals responsible for multiple residential break-and-enters.
These people are charged with 26 counts of breaking and entering in the Toronto and Montreal areas. The value of the reported stolen goods recovered is upwards of $500,000. Starting Wednesday, drivers using the new expansion of Highway 407 and Highway 412 in the Durham region will have to pay a toll. Since the opening in June, drivers got to use the highway without having to pay a fee. Government officials have assured travelers that the highway toll will be lower than the Highway 407 Express toll route. Fox News took down a tweet about the Quebec mosque shooting after Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's office launched a complaint. Kate Purchase, Director of Communications in Trudeau's office, sent out an email saying that the post was, quote, false and misleading language, as the tweet wrongly identified the shooter as Moroccan. 49-year-old Judge Neil Garouche will make his first trip to Capitol Hill this morning as President Trump's nominee for Supreme Court. Garouche will be nominated by Mike Pence. Garouche focuses on issues such as abortion, gun control, the death penalty, and religious rights. These meetings in the Senate will decide his fate for the upcoming months. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres responded to Trump's travel ban with much criticism. He says that the ban of refugees will increase propaganda by terrorist groups and there will be more of a threat to national security. While Guterres did not directly call Trump out, he did make reference to the protests happening as a result of the executive order. Israeli police are forcibly removing Israeli settlers from the West Bank. This after a court ruled that their homes were built on private Palestinian land. But at the same time, the Israeli government announced it's approved the construction of 3,000 more homes in the area. Here at Sheridan, the student union is looking for students to join the board of directors. In order to be considered students, must get the appropriate forms from the SSU website as well as obtain 50 signatures from students supporting the nomination. Now let's check in with Bella, who's live at the Joshua Creeks Heritage Arts Center in Oakville for their first exhibit of the year. Bella?
I'm here at the Joshua Creeks Heritage Arts Center where the Riches of Life exhibit is going on. Joining us to talk about the exhibit is founder of the Heritage Arts Center, Sybil Rampin. Hi, thank you for having us.
Glad to be here.
Thank you. So I'm just wondering, do you mind telling us a little bit about the exhibit and what people can expect when they walk through the door?
Well, it's a very impressive old 1827 barn, and my dream was to have a gallery. And in 2008, we had our first exhibition, and it was built by my two grandsons and four friends under an expert carpenter. But this exhibition is especially important to me because it's my own personal collection of paintings, which are sort of 3 centuries of collection by my family. My great-great-grandfather was born in 1799, and I have his watercolors. And then we have mine, and we also have some of the students who studied with us in this very special, it's a new medium called watercolor, non-toxic watercolor printmaking. So the exhibition is, I think, one of our finest exhibitions that we've ever had, and it's very diverse. We have Morin Marie, who is the top marine painter in the Antarctica of the 20th century. I think he's 20th century. And we have amazing cathedral, Durham Cathedral, which was painted by Joseph Nash in the 19th century. So it's a very interesting collection of people who work here, paint here, and ancestors. And my feeling is that what's on the wall when you grow up as a child influences you for the rest of your life. So we do emerging artists, we do challenged artists, we do antique artists, we do elder art, and I just love having a gallery for people in the community.
Favorite work of art out of everything you've displayed?
This and that, but I think I have my favorite one is the one I made out of boiled cucumber, and I stitched it, and it's the Queen of Heaven with her pets, and especially the Milky Way, and that's, I think, the most fun I ever had, making it out of weeds and stitching it.
Perfect. So that's all we have from the Joshua Creeks Heritage Arts Center. Thank you, Sybil, for having us. And coming up after the break, we'll be live with your sports and entertainment updates.
Now it's like this is the busiest one. I'm like trying to fit everyone in, so it's really great. But it's good. It's a good chance for like people who don't get to perform in their daily life or in their program or whatever to kind of get up and on stage and show their talent.
The marquee was filled with students last night, eating, drinking, and having a good time, and crowd participation was definitely not lacking.
It's really important for students to participate and know that school's not just about school, you know? Get involved with campus events. Don't just go to your classes. Students should always get engaged with what's going on, and the SSU provides the perfect place for it.
And you can't go to the marquee on open mic night without experiencing a few unique performances.
Yoo-hoo! Yeah, yeah, yeah. If I... Oh.
One more time. I have been broken open. Another successful event run by the SSU. We got to see a ton of Sheridan talent and participation. We can expect the next open mic night within a few months.
Best-selling Canadian author Linwood Barclay tweeted that he's canceled all of his upcoming tours to the U.S. until the immigration ban is lifted. Barclay's tweet has been received with a great deal of support from fans on Twitter. The author's decision means that he will not be present at 2 upcoming book festivals. Barclay says this choice was purely his own and that he didn't make it with any illusions that he will change the world. OC star Misha Barton tweeted to thank fans for their support after she was hospitalized. Barton was reportedly to be acting bizarrely, hanging over her backyard fence in only a dress shirt and tie, and making strange statements. Barton says her behavior was the result of being unwillingly drugged while out celebrating her 25th birthday. She says she is home and doing well, and she asked the media to respect her privacy. The Academy Awards are Hollywood's most star-studded event. The presenters of the awards are usually the industry's brightest stars, and 2017 will be no different. As is tradition, the winners of previous years are the ones presenting the awards. This year will include Leonardo DiCaprio, Brie Larson, Alicia Vikander, and Mark Rylance. The ceremony takes place February 27th. Model sisters Bella and Gigi Hadid participated in a march in New York's Battery Park on Sunday. Both sisters were seen wearing Love Trump's hate pins and holding signs reading. They read, "We are all Hindus, Buddhists, Muslims, atheists, Christians, and Jews," with specific letters emphasized in bold to spell humans. Yolanda Hadid posted a picture of her daughters in the march on Sunday. Both of Bella and Gigi's parents are immigrants, and their father, Mohammed Hadid, as well as Gigi's boyfriend, Zayn Malik, are Muslims. And that's all I have for entertainment. Now over to Kevin with sports.
Sup sports fans, the Leafs and Raps were both in action last night, so let's get right into the highlights. The Leafs returned to the ice last night in Dallas in their first of 2 meetings against the Stars. Nazem Kadri coming into this game on a 5-game point streak, looking to lead the Buds back into the win column. Early first period, Stars forward Devin Shore opens the scoring with a great individual effort, beating 3 Leaf players for his 8th goal of the season. Less than 2 minutes later, Radek Faksa nets the Stars' 2nd goal of the game, putting the Leafs on the ropes early. It would only get worse for the Leafs as the Stars put on 3 more goals in the opening period. Tyler Bozak, Nikita Soshnikov, Mitch Marner did find the back of the net for the Buds, but it wasn't enough as the Leafs fall to the Stars 6-3. They'll try to snap their 2-game losing streak on Thursday against the St. Louis Blues. It hasn't been smooth sailing for the Raptors the last 2 weeks, losing 6 of their last 8 games. Last night, they hosted Anthony Davis and the New Orleans Pelicans in a thriller. Picking up the action in the second half, Drew Holiday strips the ball from Patrick Patterson and goes coast to coast for the layup. Dying seconds of regulation, score all knotted up at 96, Holiday drives into the lane and throws up a lefty runner, but pops out, so they needed overtime to settle it. In that overtime period, Lowry comes alive as he steps into the deep 3 on the left wing to extend the Raptors' lead to 4 points. After the Pelicans tied the game back up at 106 apiece with a Davis floater, the Raptors had a chance to go for the win.
He's got a good one. Too good a look. After it, each one more again with a play. It'll be Anthony Davis tying it up. How about the work? Lowry, step back. Will I get there?
Kyle Lowry nails the tough jumper to regain the lead. 4 seconds left, all the Raptors need is a stop, and they get it from DeMar Carroll, who closes out on Etuan Moore, forcing the miss. Raps protect home court, escaping with a 108-106 win. They play a critical game tonight against the Celtics in the battle for the first in Atlantic Division. The Sheridan men's basketball team has been red hot all season with a perfect 10-0 record, putting them first in the OCAA. I went down to the Davis campus to speak to Brian Owusu to try to get to know the team a little bit more.
It's great. I mean, everybody gets along. We all work very hard together. We all work well together. I mean, and we're like a band of brothers off the court as well as on the court, so it's always a good time.
Yeah, so the main reason why I came here was to get to know the team a little bit more. So I'm just going to ask you some weird questions, and then you tell me the first play that comes up to your head. So you guys are on the bus or in the locker room. Right. Who's the loudest and funniest guy on the team?
The loudest? We got a lot of loud guys. You know what, Paul comes to mind, but I think the loudest and funniest is probably Jamal. Jamal's a character. He's a comedian nonstop, always laughing.
What kind of stuff does he do?
Jesus, you name it. You know, he's coming up with jokes. He's laughing at people. He's getting laughed at. He's recording. He's doing everything. He's a real character.
Who do you think is the best dressed guy on the team? Who do you think has the best style?
Best dressed? I don't know. We got a lot of good dressers on the team. I can tell you who the worst dress is, but best dress, I don't know.
You can say yourself if you want.
No, honestly, I pretty much wear the same thing every day, so it's not me. I tell you that. I think I'll go with Denzel. Denzel's got, he's got a little fly. He's a little fly. Ostap, he has a different swag. He's more casual. He's, I guess he's coming from work every day, but so yeah, he's always wearing like a collared shirt and stuff like that. So you can go that route.
Who do you think talks the most trash on your team?
Oh, Paul for sure. Paul and Trey are 2 bigs. They're hands down. They're talking trash. From before the tip to after the tip, they're on it. They're on the other team. They're on the refs. Hi, my name is Brian Owusu, shooting guard for the Sheridan Bruins, and you're watching Supsheridan.
It's rivalry week for the Sheridan varsity teams with the men's and women's volleyball squads taking on Mohawk College on Friday at the Trafalgar campus, and the basketball teams hosting Humber on Saturday at the Davis campus. Make sure you show your support for the Double Blue this weekend. That's all the sports we have for you today. Back to Matt for more.
Ghost towns. There are many small communities throughout Northern Ontario that may seem desolate, but they have a lot of history. I got the chance to visit Seguin Falls to see what this ghost town has to offer.
Yeah, Seguin Falls was an early colonization town right around the time when there was an opening between Lake Rosso and Lake Nipissing. It was a very prominent railway and timber industry actually cutting through, as you can see behind us. And there's a lot of history here in Northern Ontario that people don't really know about. And it wasn't until a road that opened up Gravenhurst to Magnetawan opened that this town really fell into despair.
In 1955, when the railway completely stopped operating forever and the final general store shut its doors, the population dwindled to less than 50. In the next few years, all buildings became a memory of what the town used to be.
Now it's a very popular cottage industry with a lot of snowmobilers and yeah, just a lot of nice places around the lake. Even though it's considered a bit of a ghost town, like it's a very popular cottage destination all year round.
One thing, however, may make you take that 3-hour trip up north to visit a little bit of Canadian history.
Very close to Parry Sound, which our claim to fame is the home of Bobby Orr.
Bobby Orr, behind the net to Sanderson, Orr! Bobby Orr!
Next time you go through a ghost town, maybe stop for a bit. You never know what hidden gems you might find. This has been Matt Coffin for Supsheridan. Spooky stuff, eh?
Just a bit. We're taking a break, but when we come back, we have some weird news for you.
Hey there, Sheridan. My name's Jesse and I'm in the film program. And here's the weather that you need to know. Pack a jacket because it looks like you're gonna need it today. And we're expecting a high of 2 degrees with a slight chance of flurries. The weather isn't looking so much better for the rest of the week either. The clouds aren't having any time soon and the temperature are expected to drop down to at least -6 degrees. The good news is the snow is not expected to fall until Sunday. Look over Tuesday of next week because we are looking at around 5 to 10 centimeters of snow as much of right now. And that's all you need to know for weather today. I'm Jesse and have a fantastic day.
Tomorrow is Groundhog Day, and those of you without travel plans might be better off spending that money going to the Super Bowl. Booking a hotel room in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania costs around $450 a night for the Groundhog Day celebrations. Meanwhile, in Houston, Texas hotel rooms for a Super Bowl weekend average around $340. That's a difference of $110. For those of you that want to visit Punxsutawney, wait until after Groundhog Day, as prices drop about $300. Here's hoping that 6 more weeks of winter aren't forecasted for us tomorrow.
We've all seen interesting customers, but a gas station in New Brunswick had a group that really takes the cake. At around 9:30 in the morning, 3 deer headed straight into a nearby Canadian Tire gas station. They must not have been happy with their service, because witnesses at the scene say the deer crashed into shelves and left candy and paper all over the floor. Video taken of their shopping spree shows the 3 deer fleeing the scene, obviously aware that they would not be dearly missed. Let's hope that next time these deers are more pleasant customers. I'm not gonna lie, there's been pretty good deals on Canadian Tire. I'd do the same thing.
I liked your pun there about the dearly.
You got that?
Caught it.
But I must say, I'd rather go to the Super Bowl and see a little wombat.
I'm not the biggest football fan, so I don't think I'd want to go to the Super Bowl.
All right, you spend the money. I'll be going down to, I don't know where it is this year, but hopefully
I wouldn't know either.
I'll be watching the game. That's all for Supsheridan this week.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Bye.